this. This one's a little shorter. Fortunately, we don't have any like special Samsara notes quite yet. We're still working that out, but that'll come up eventually.
Yes, they will. Okay. Um, so similar thing. I'm just gonna go over what I said in the meeting in the email in case you have questions. So for the RO's dispatch observations, this is a time to give them practice taking AVS calls and working with the Excel schedules because this is mainly what they'd be doing when there is no AVS dispatcher and they are responsible for handling them. So if you have an observee on one of your dispatch shifts, have them handle all scheduling related calls and texts. Technically, ROs don't have access to the texting line in like actual practice, but for the purpose of their observation, since most of our passengers like tend to text during business hours, have them handle it just so that they can get practice like scheduling rides, because that's the most important part. Um, they should also be managing the AVS radio, giving 10-5s, coordinating additions, things like that. That should all be on them. However, you are still responsible for all like other dispatch specific tasks during your shift. So like if it's an AM observation, you should still be doing van assignment, defect sheet entry, all of those things. They don't need to know those things for like RO purposes. And you don't have to teach them, just teach them the basics of the Excel scheduling and things like that, and then handle the rest on your own. I think mostly any AM observations start at like 7:15, so they won't be in your way when you need to do those things. And I think a lot of them are partials. So hopefully there will be at least part of your shift where you are solo and you can handle what you need to handle, and then they're only there for part of it. Um, Again, they just got a presentation with a lot of information, so make sure you are present and attentive while observing them because we want to make sure we're catching any errors that might happen and that things are going correctly. Um, this is basically like everyone's first observation after dispatch school. Like there's a lot to learn and there's a lot of things they don't know. So just be ready to handle that. And again, if they have questions, be ready to answer them. If you're not sure of anything, send us an email or come find us and we can help clarify things. And of course, please, please, please fill out a dispatch observation at the end of your shift. These are really important, especially for ROs, because it's like their proof that they completed the AVS portion of their training and we like submit it to Pyres. So we want to make sure, you know, they get credit for these observations. Um, and then again, while talking about observation forms, just a reminder, if a driver has an observee, you should be giving them the form at the start of their shift, ideally, because we don't want to forget about it accidentally. Um, you don't have to provide a form for ride-alongs. It's only for observations, which should be clear in the name of the shift itself. It'll say ride-along or observation. And if you have a dispatch observation assigned to your shift, you should be filling out the dispatch form. These forms are located in a binder in that bottom filing cabinet drawer that's like under the AVS desk. It's where the defect sheets are kept, but it's just like pull the drawer out a little further. There's a binder, says evaluations or something on it. We recently downsized to a smaller binder that makes so much more sense for its purpose, but it is otherwise still the same. Um, and if a driver submits a form or you have your dispatch form, please bring it to our office. There is a little folder on the wall, like right to your left if you walk in, pictured right there, that has a folder for dispatch and driver observation forms. Put them in their respective spots. We'll get to it eventually, but that is where they are supposed to go. Um, yes, that is that. Um,
Alrighty.
yeah.
So, I'm sure most of you know Mount Ida is an odd sort of outlier for us. In the past, any Mount Ida defect sheets we got would just be sent to the AVS office. From there, we wouldn't really do anything with them. We would take them to meet and greet, and then meet and greet would try to send them to Mount Ida to take care of themselves. Turns out they didn't do anything with them, and so for a while, we straight up did just take them and recycle them immediately. But now, for 1281 specifically, that van is considered to be our own in a sense. Mount Ida vans aren't like switching drivers halfway through. It's just going to be 1281 goes out, switches passengers with the other one, and then they both just return. to their original starting place. So, with 1281 basically being ours, we are going to handle it like our own FT or AVS defect sheets. Um, it is, again, the only one we should be dealing with. So if you do see defect sheets or clipboards for the other ones, so like 1280 or 83, please email Field Trip and Diana to let them know because they probably should not have made it back here. So want to make sure that gets taken care of and make sure it doesn't happen again. But yeah, we'll just be entering 1281's defects. It's no longer on the other page of the run sheet. All Mount Ida vehicles have been added to our own FT AVS run sheet. Plans, at least currently, are to give them their own dedicated run sheet eventually. But for now, you can just enter 1281 as if you would any other field trip vehicle. And you can also stack it same way you would in the defect sheets. Again, it's basically going to be treated as our own field trip vehicle for the foreseeable future. If anyone has questions about those, let us know. And again, if you see anything that isn't 1281, make sure to report that.
Okay, next up, we have some dispatch task updates and or reminders. So an update to our system for return schedules. This is mainly a mid task, unless it's so incredibly busy you can't do it, then it becomes a PM task. But it seems to be working out just fine that it's on the mid. So for this, we're going to continue having you guys check the schedules for that current day, but for the previous week. So if it's like if you have the Tuesday mid, you'd be doing last Tuesdays. Um, and if you have like Friday, no, I'm sorry, if you have Monday, you would be doing last Monday as well as the weekend, so Saturday and Sunday schedules. So you'll be going through, checking all of the schedules, making sure they're all accounted for. If any are missing, cross-reference with the DA sheet, see if that shift was open, or if you can also cross-reference with Excel if there were no rides. It's possible it was just never printed. Um, if you do see a missing schedule that should have been printed and is just not accounted for, make a note of that. But the change is now similar to how you would report like checking defect sheets if anyone missed like a circle check. Just shoot us an email with the day and what schedule is missing. And we're going to start reporting it that way. And then once you've reported it, just come to the AVS office and please shred the schedules after you've gone through them. I have found a significant amount of schedules find their way to my desk, and I just spend like 10 to 15 minutes just shredding them. I feel like my I feel a bit like Sisyphus with the paper just never ending. So we're gonna delegate that to you guys. And it seems to be going smoothly and we trust your judgment. So yeah, we can yeah. And also on the topic of the returning schedules, just for all dispatchers, if you're getting schedules returned to you, please date stamp them so that we know what day they're from. If you happen to have the schedules before, you can date stamp them whenever you want. I just think the most consistent time would be upon return because a lot of people will just grab their schedules and then go do their circle check. But we're trying to get on top of making sure we know what day is what since it's not really clear. Zach is also brainstorming ways to have it print the date, but until then, or if that never happens, handy dandy date stamp. It does the trick. So next, for PM dispatchers, just a reminder, you guys are responsible for printing backup schedules for the following day. We are adding on to that. You should also shred the current day's backup schedules, ideally towards the end of your shift after like 5 p.m., just in case you somehow happen to need them, but by then you probably won't. The backup schedules are stored in the same binder as the return schedules. They're just at the very end. They have their own little tab so you can tell. So just when you print them, take out the ones for the current day and then shred them before you leave, please. Um, and also a reminder for you guys, before you leave at the end of your shift, you should also be double checking that all the vans that are done for the day before 6 p.m. have been properly parked. If they haven't, you are responsible for either parking them or delegating that to a driver before you leave. This is like it's a multi-step system to make sure that all the vans are safely parked every day. So it starts with you guys and then the Eve driver and then ideally the ROs. But just in case anything falls through the cracks at any point, you guys are the start of that. And yeah, so just a reminder, you should be doing that before you leave. Um, and more. Next is Friday PM. So this is an existing task, but just to clarify every part of it, Friday PM, you're responsible for van assignment for the weekend, so Saturday and Sunday during full service. This includes assigning it on the DA sheet, making the defect sheets for each day, um, adding the name of the driver and the van number to the Excel schedules so that if the RO pulls it up, they can just print it and it has all the information. Um, it's not reliable that they will add this information if it's not there. So we're just trying to get more consistent with having you guys add it, and that way it's just already there, and we don't have just schedules with like no information on them. And you should also be printing the DA sheets for Saturday and Sunday, as well as Monday, per usual. I'd also like to note when you make the defect sheets, you might not have the clipboards available to you because they might still be with drivers for like the Friday PM. But you should make the defect sheets and have them ready and available for the ROs. And I will say, make it very obvious, make them very visible. People sometimes like put them in the stack with the DA sheets, and they often get lost. I've seen truly those defect sheets could be right in front of them, front and center, with a note stating where they are, and ROs will still miss it. So, be as obvious as you can about it. And yeah, hopefully they'll get in the habit of knowing that we're doing that and they'll know to look for it. But for now, it is a bit comical. So just a reminder on that front. And then the return of the van map from a dispatcher perspective. A lot of you guys are familiar with this, but for all of our new dispatchers who have come in during construction, just a reminder, if you are an AM, you should be referring to the van map when you're doing van assignment. This is because you should be assigning vans in the order that they are in the garage so that drivers aren't moving vans, like moving multiple vans to get to theirs. So for like the AM 1 and 2, you could assign 1528 and 1298 or like whatever order as long as you're prioritizing making sure that the first drivers are getting the first available vans and then as you slowly assign vans like the AM5 would get like 1529 because all the other vans would be out by then. Um, so make sure you're referring to that. Make sure that date is correct. Um, and if you do notice that the van map is not being consistently updated the night before your shift, let us know. I've had shifts like this. It is quite inconvenient because like running outside to make sure it's accurate kind of defeats the whole purpose. And we don't want to add that to your plate. Just send us an email. We will reach out to the driver and remind them that it's their responsibility because they may not remember or whatever. But we don't want you to deal with that alone. Um, yeah. That's Van Map. I'm so excited that it's back. And I guess that's all we have for you. Zach,
I have no notes. Yeah,
wait.
that's it. If anyone has any questions or anything, we'll stick around for the next couple of minutes. But otherwise, you are all free to go.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are RO observers or what, the people that are training, are they responsible for registering new passengers and should we help them with that?
No. So basically, they're exclusively handling scheduling. So they'll take phone calls and handle the texts and like putting them into the schedule and like handling the radio as well. But like general dispatch tasks or like registering passengers, that sort of thing is still going to be your responsibility. We're just trying to get them experienced with the things they'll have to cover as an RO on like the weekends or the evening, or even if like you guys were to leave briefly for like a dispatch ride or something, just giving them the basic idea of how to keep the service running without like going into details. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Have a good night.